en particular, pienso que cada uno tiene una relación con la arquitectura, todo como la madera también. Así que, bueno, sin nada más, bienvenidos a esta conferencia, que lo disfruten mucho. Gracias.
Gracias, Nicola. Bueno, estuvimos con Mirkku hablando largamente sobre este proyecto y cómo Nicola mencionaba, se entronca en la identidad cultural finlandesa. El diseño y la arquitectura forman parte de la vida cotidiana y toda la vida fueron concebidos en Finlandia desde el punto de vista del bienestar del individuo, hasta un punto muy reconocido actualmente en la cual Finlandia es por 7º año consecutivo el país más feliz, porque toda la estructura y el funcionamiento se concibe, se diseña y se mejora permanentemente considerando las necesidades del individuo. Le damos la bienvenida a Mirkku. Mirkku, very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to introduce you. I will introduce you in Spanish to the audience. Mirkku es una líder de proyectos muy reconocida en Escandinavia como una pensadora que une el mundo del diseño, la arquitectura y la moda con propuestas transformadoras o relanzadoras de casas y fundaciones icónicas que tienen que ver no solo con Finlandia, sino también con el resto de los países nórdicos. Mirkku en este momento es la CEO de la Fundación Paimio, que tiene a su cargo llevar adelante este revamping de un edificio icónico, darle una nueva función que ahora nos va a contar en detalle, pero también es la fundadora de Glass House, que es su consultora, ha sido CEO de Artec, una casa icónica de diseño de muebles en Finlandia, propiedad en parte de Alvar Aalto en su momento y su mujer Año, y a partir de Artec y un revamping muy importante, tomó una posición internacional más fuerte, luego la compró una compañía suiza que se llama Vitra, Mirkku también ocupó una posición importante en Vitra, y anteriormente fue presidenta del board de la Fundación Alvar Aalto. Quiere decir que a lo largo de su carrera, Mirkku no solamente ha liderado procesos muy ambiciosos y muy visionarios en Finlandia y en los países nórdicos, pero con una trascendencia internacional evidente. Yo diría que el rasgo característico de Mirkku es su gran capacidad de liderazgo y concepción de equipos interdisciplinarios, de arquitectos, diseñadores, creadores, artistas y hombres de negocios que entienden que el mundo hoy tiene un formato distinto y que los equipos holísticos son los que realmente tienen la capacidad de leer el momento que vivimos y relanzar propuestas que han sido base inclusive de la cultura. Mirkku, I hope everything is set now and the audience is waiting for you. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you for the invitation for the event, and it's an honor, and I'm so sorry that I can't be there. It would be amazing to be actually there, just when the November is coming here in Nordics, so that could be other weather and sun, and also like maybe also the different spirit what we are just currently moving to face. So
to interrupt you, but we lost your picture. We can't see your video.
Oh, you can't see my video?
No.
Now it's
we want to see you, Mirkku.
We'd like to see your face, but it somehow went black.
I don't know what's happened here.
I can see your presentation, but not you.
Yeah, and there's your code in there.
Let me see.
Check your camera, please.
I have the camera on actually at my side on. So let me see what I can do here. Yes, it's only black actually. That's
Exactly.
Maybe it's here. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So okay. So thank you. Like I said, thank you for the invitation. And so I thought about taking you on a journey of a incredibly important project we are working here in Finland. And it's not only for Finland, it's an international caliber project where we are looking for a new use, new use and new future for Alvar and Aino Aalto's masterpiece, Paimio Sanatorium. And what we are saying here is that we are doing this in the spirit of Aaltos for the sake of clarity is that also that there's a foundation, which is the Paimio Sanatorium. There's an Alvar Aalto Foundation, where Alvar Aalto Foundation takes care of the legacy of the Aaltos, where our duty is to take care of the spirit, what they created, these masters created for around this architectural masterpiece. And let's hope we are going to move. Yes, okay. So I'm not going to touch that much about the history, but I really want to sort of discuss about the complexity also when we are working with this kind of modernist masterpiece, and same time we are trying to. We know that it has a cultural heritage. It's also, this building is one of the 13 buildings which is now on UNESCO's tentative list, where the project is moving on, and it's actually looking pretty good. The list will be, and our proposal will be also registered at the end of this year. But at the same time, we have a massive complexity on this maintaining this building, which landed which actually became for sale in 2018. The municipality hospital operations were closed in 2015, and it was 3 years it was empty, and then suddenly it was for sale. The bids were between euro and 500,000, and then government got involved. The government was in the state of Finland, and the Ministry of Education and Culture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Environment, and Alvar Aalto Foundation all raised the flag and say that this building we need to figure out a way of funding the future for it. So 2020, the foundation was founded with the mission of saving this building, saving it for active use, not saving it for museum purposes, because this would be an impossible project for maintaining it for a museum. So, and it's not only one building, it's on top of the main building, which is the most characteristics building, which we also know as an iconic sanatorium building. There's 14 other buildings in this area, which we are actually currently needing to find solution for the years. Aalto's got this Alvar Aalto was in his young age, he became very, very renowned architect, and through his organic form, which Sigurður Gideon says in his book of Space, Time and Architecture, kind of embraced to be a total changing factor compared to the Bauhaus architecture. So it became like Aalto became already in his early 30s, one of the most recognized architects of the modernism. I had a privilege of meeting the Getty Foundation people in 2023 January with the director of Alvar Aalto Foundation, Tommy Lind, and we went to discuss about this project and wanted to hear their comments and their sort of thoughts about how we should be proceeding, because already 2016 the Getty Foundation had founded a conservation management plan for the building. Getty Foundation directors asked me that if I really would have an understanding how important building we are working with, and obviously when this kind of question is raised, you just immediately think that no, we probably don't really just understand it. And they told us that in the same time when they were funding the conservation management plan for Paimio Sanatorium, they funded 2 other buildings, and these 2 other buildings were Björn Utzon Sydney Opera House and the Salk Institute for Louis Kahn. So we just really need to understand which caliber of building we are working with. The international importance of this building is it's incredibly significant. Same time, when we think about these 3 buildings, actually, we also should be thinking about the positioning of these 3 architects. We discussed about the factor that actually Louis Kahn, the Salk Institute is definitely his masterpiece, and he started to work as an architect very late stage, and he's built the career just actually started in his 50s. Björn Utzon became almost there was this Sydney Opera House was such a significant building for his career that the other buildings which he did later just couldn't come to the same kind of limelight of these buildings. Alvar Aalto did 500 buildings, designed 500 buildings, of which 100 abroad internationally. And that's what in Finland, we have even difficult to understand what kind of master we have and hero in architecture, international architectural scene we have. And this is also bringing one of the, I would say, burdens to our projects, because there's so many Aalto buildings and in Finland that actually it's incredibly complicated to convince the stakeholders to be part of this project. But we have moved well, and now we are just in an incredibly interesting turning point with this project after working since 2023 efficiently for the conversion conceptual work. So we started to think about what could the purpose be. This building can't be developed to an apartments. It can't be a hospital again. So what could be the place how it could be? Just use the best way of what it could be. So we have come to a point where we think that the best possibility would be a retreat hotel, same time a place for people to meet, important kind of encounters, and also the conferences. The idea we have tested with an international advisors on a hotel industry and different kind of specialists on well-being industry and also like an architectural scene as well, and also with the museum authorities who are also collaborating with us, because knowing that this building is very highly also protected. So we say that this building needs to be developed in the spirit of Aaltos, but it can be same time to become a truly Nordic destination for well-being, which is incredibly relevant in the time where we are living now, thinking about the climate change, where the Nordics actually has an incredible potential also from the travel industry perspective. But it can be a true place for living experience of architecture, design, and culture, which we need to be able to save through an adaptive architecture and also taking the essence of Aaltos here in a well care. So we have been moving with the 3 dimensions and thinking how these visions could be realized. To think about how the hospitality and hospitals are actually coming closer and closer to each other. So the boundaries are getting more and more blurred, and the well-being industry has been becoming incredibly interesting and important part of our lives. And the well-being in general has such an important status in our lives. Saunas, Arctic parts, and all of these kind of very characteristic Nordic well-being retreats are also coming as almost a trend thing, which we as a word we really want to as well also avoid. We think also that the Nordicness has a potential to work on. So the history is totally amazing of how Aaltos worked with his wife of this modernist masterpiece. Same time when Aaltos were working with Paimio Sanatorium, they were also working with the Weber Library, which is giving a sort of great dimension for this work. The libraries became an instrumental part of Aaltos' future career establishment as well. But same time, this masterpiece is currently, it's already a destination. This summer, we have had 35,000 people visiting Paimio Sanatorium. And this is the 3rd year it's ever opened for the public to be able to visit and see the building inside and also being able to use it for different purposes. We think that this modernist masterpiece is also a true Gesamtkunstwerk where all of the details actually need to be also taken care for the future concept. So when we are thinking about conceptualizing, we just go from that actually we don't think that any of the there's no reasons to start changing things for the sake of changing, but what can we take learnings from Aaltos, this architecture and design at that time, we would like to bring back there as well. We have been studying the furniture, we have documented the furniture, we have went through all the heating system. We are looking for new heating systems for the building. We have made extensive study, the property development study for being able to understand how this building could be heated in the future. and having like a sustainable, environment friendly system for that. So there's like a kind of also the furniture, what there has been, like that we know the armchair 41, which is this kind of the iconic Paimio chair, is also has a like it's a profound importance in this whole concept, that all of these details, the furniture, the details, the door handles, the windows and window structures and whatever has been built there need to be protected. The building is not listed as an interior. It's more like an exterior listing, which is making that if this would be going to a wrong hands, there might be also danger of that something remarkable would disappear. What is really the thing which inspires us most for this project is that Aalto called this building as a medical instrument. This has a multidimensional reasoning why we think that this is important. We think that the building can still be a medical instrument, but it can be also having an importance of the programming, what we are doing for the Paimio Sanatorium, which I'm going to a little bit touch at the end of this presentation. So this being a medical instrument is something which also the Beatrice Colomina has touched so well in her book, The X-ray Architecture, which is a fantastic. There's a fantastic story about and the details and also the studies what she has been doing that how actually the light, the heating, the ventilation, and this kind of heliotherapy, which Aalto's called about this building has this characteristic, has been just kind of all kind of something which we can also think for the future. Aino and Alvar Aalto, total kind of in our perspective, we think that they are actually much more renowned and respected outside of Finland and outside of the Nordics. Like we did a tour in US in February, just presenting this project. The response was total. It was amazing. It was completely. There's an architect who has been just following their works, but also like understanding that this kind of legacy needs to be also developed further and can be taken further. So the human modernism, what has been brought here, is also part of our conceptualizing what we are working and bringing these all social aspects in there as well. I'm not going to touch about Aalto's history, but just kind of as an architect audience, you know his works and you know also his career, which has been moving. He has been moving from the functionalism further, and also just developing his handwriting during the years. And has an incredibly kind of multi-dimensional, same time a kind of very signature way of working, but also same time a kind of variating work. And he was incredibly talented at working with the industrial leaders and the companies with whom he was working also in internationally. But what is interesting is also that when Aalto said that when I began designing Paimio Sanatorium, I myself happened to be ill for several months. So I was able to use myself as a test case of how an ill person's room should actually be constructed. A person who is in constant states of illness is naturally more delicate, more sensitive than a normal person. But we have been also viewing this concept from a horizontal perspective, also like a metaphoric way, but also like a kind of physical understanding that what it means when everything has been thought of that we just need to think about that people could be rest and breathe in the future in this building. And that could be almost the medical instrument again. Aino's talents became, we know that these kind of significant others, these couples where the work has been doing together, like Paimio Sanatorium was originally a competition only for gentlemen architects, but Aino and Alvar Aalto, they signed together in this competition where actually they also won the sanatorium, the tuberculosis hospital work. So now we also think that there's an importance that we would be being open and being inclusive for international architects when we go further this project. There's a conversion project of not only the main building, but also there's a conversion project for the other buildings but also there's a new visitor center which we should be developing and designing for the future when the UNESCO, hopefully when that and would be also becoming reality. But importance is for this both talents, and that's we want to also embrace. The property as a medical instrument, it's located in 1.5 hours from Helsinki, which in an international scale, and it's not a long way, but it had been considered that it's a middle of nowhere. And we have been challenging this very strongly. And today within 2 years, we have been able, as this kind of change this, even a local, a national opinion, but that it would be far away. And same time when we know that this building with this new, how it has been placed in the connection with the nature, in the connection with the local societies there, it has been a self-sufficient building. So, but also like all of these essences, what Aalto has been bringing in his design has been incredibly relevant for the patients who stayed there for years. The tuberculosis treatment stopped in the 1960s, and then it was converted to a hospital. And Elisa Aalto, Aino's second wife, was involved in these processes until 1994. And after that, it has been all of the changes and conversions has been controlled and followed with the museum authorities and Alvar Aalto Foundation. Same thing, but there has also becoming several layers, which also has been, we have also lost something which we should be now understanding, that is it more important to keep the layers or being able to use adaptive architecture and bringing maybe some of the best parts back what is there. The main building is for the square meters is 11,400 square meters, so it's a big building. There's additionally another 5,000 square meters, which we need to also solve with the other 7 buildings, which are really close there and which can be used there. Total 14 buildings, some of them are just plumbing-tation or technical buildings, but it's a huge property area where we need to work on. So we are thinking that same time when we are working with this property development, we are also working aerial development and being able to sort of get also kind of understanding how this could be becoming a living like an environment also for the locals, visitors, guests who will be staying there, but also like becoming a kind of multi-dimensional users place where to stay. We have been looking for the building, and we know after the research work we have done that we could get there around 140 rooms. And first stage, we thought that it would be necessary to actually get bigger rooms there. So this is the original amount of rooms what there were. Before the bigger modifications, eventually we didn't change the patient rooms, so we left them to the original size. Museum authorities would not have even allowed to us combine 3 rooms for being able to get bigger bathrooms there and bigger restrooms. So now it's the ideal plan, in our opinion, is that we keep it as it is. And we also conceptualize it from that perspective that the room actually, that it can be it's for resting and sleeping, and the other places in this building can be used for other purposes. This one wing which has been there have been converted with the windows, we thought that actually that could be also rooms, but now we are thinking it's also possibly it could be like living rooms for each 7th floor, that there would be a use for, that people could be using it for reading, for meditation, for even just kind of having little soft exercise there, so that there would be activity there, and also maybe for public gatherings, smaller gatherings like for companies. We are also thinking that the first floor could be left as original as possible, because we think that people should be visitors should still be able to come there and to see how the patient room looks like. We have the original furniture, what they wear, and we would really like to sort of see that we wouldn't just just close it to only for a private use, that it could be also has some public entrance, public use as well. So this is the building from where we see how well it has been just kind of actually planned towards the nature, how it has been adapted in its kind of surroundings, and also like we see that the patient wing actually is an optimal for the retreat room use. The glass window wing is an optimal for also like an just kind of extended use for that wing. And then we can, in the middle, we have the entrance, and then we have there the kind of before we go to the heating areas and technical areas, we have all of the public areas for the canteens and libraries and reading rooms, which I'm going to show you as well. In this area, there's a chief musician's house, which is kind of also that was actually Aalto's first villa he designed, parallel to Villa Kokkonen, which became his actually was then became ready before this. This is a beautiful building, which could be also something similar like we know the Villa Mairea or Maison Louis Carré outside of Paris. So this would be more like a kind of, it's a 350 square meters house, which could be used residentially for the residence purposes, but also for a longer stay or company events, but also that kind of being able to bring its glory back how it has been. Currently, it is a private kindergarten, and this building is the one of which we currently know that it's really needing a caretaking very urgently. Then there are the junior physician's house, which we are needing also for the future hotel retreat use, because there we have like a 3-bedroom apartments which have little terraces, and they're incredibly beautiful apartments. And these we have even been able to keep as original as possible. And this could be serving like a more longer stay use as well, because we're also planning that there could be like researchers and have a campus work, what has been also thought about collaboration with universities. So they could be maybe the teachers or professors could be also staying here in the lower season for the hotel. So these apartments are currently they are rented to private people, but also here we are also trying to get this developed in the parallel to this main building. This is a kind of this is the bunker is the former domestic building, and this has been also gone through a lot of modification. And we have been talking with the museum authorities that we just need to also probably keep the modification, because the building doesn't tolerate anymore like being able to open with the terraces and due to the weather for conditions. But there we would have 7 bedrooms. We could have an amazing place for work and stay, for different kind of educational purposes, and also the use would be just also same time for the hotel operator. This is the area, and this area we see also the building which is here low it's a later building which we are trying to currently to collaborate with the Paimio, city of Paimio, so that there would be the kindergarten would be moving there, because we don't want to lose the children and the kids moving away, because it's bringing such an important flavor that it stays like a social place for the locals as well. They could come there, could be stay there, and they could be sharing this area. Just kind of, it wouldn't be just coming like a kind of exclusive or any kind of luxury place that it wouldn't be just inclusive for the people. And like saying this, when we are talking about retreat hotel, we are not talking about any kind of Lansehof or like this kind of these 6 stars places. We are thinking about place where actually that we could be keeping the room rates in a reasonable level. But this is the kind of the whole complexity is also coming, that we need to understand how we can get all of these renovations and conversions done there through the future use. So testing this case has been incredibly important, and we have been working with international hotel and hospitality specialists And we had tested the idea about should this be a Finnish destination, or and what is the key factor? And the factor is that it should be a Nordic destination. We should be taking all of the aspects what the current Nordicness means, and going through. We know in how it's kind of the Finnish new architecture also has been working with in several projects. What we are doing, there's also a very interesting way of approaching even the public buildings like libraries or saunas, and something which we just currently see that has been incredible, has been really successfully executed and designed. So we are looking for the heritage, what it means to be a Finn, what it means these kind of natural resources, what there is in Nordics, which is the clean air, the clean water, the kind of the connection to the nature, bringing these essences back to the luxury, which we think that is actually needed more than a more artificial luxury. We have been making a massive study of the feasibility studies of how this could be, how we could be getting ever an investment or an international operator to come to Finland and come to work on this. Finland has after the NATO agreement, that when Finland joined NATO, there has been an increase about of international travels, especially from US and also like the kind of the countries. Finland has been getting more like an international recognition in a very positive way, and we know that Finland is it's non-corrupted. It's a kind of very transparent country, but also same time we're going through an incredibly low economical climate now, where we need to juggle also that where the country and the political climate is not that friendly for any kind of cultural project caliber like this. We also have been talking a lot about this, that Finland has been the 7th time the happiest country of the world, and the people, and also like seeing that what this means, these kind of rankings, what the country is getting, but has also understood that from an international operator perspective, all of these aspects are very relevant. And we're here where we are discussing about all of these macroeconomical changes, what we need to also be able to justify this. So there is there's a like potential for this project of moving forward. We have been going through the local strengths where we know that there's the stability and the high level of standard of living is supporting also this project. But same time, Finland is incredibly vulnerable for the international economical conditions and also just having a very narrow banking sector. So all of these things need to be also taken into consideration. Normally, we could be just thinking about, hey, let's develop an architectural landmark. But finding the new purpose, we need to go the areas deeper and deeper for being able to just kind of securing the motivations for doing this project, but also being able to prove the feasibility of this project also from economical perspective. And it would be just feeling that this is a kind of, we have been discussing whose responsibility is actually to do this. But as soon as we are also property owners, we need to do the same work than we would be being same time we would be a property developers, which is it's a paradox in a way that we are doing the same work. So there is an investment interest in especially on the west coast of Finland, and this is supporting us currently strongly. Would this property be on a more east in Finland, like closer to the Russian border? There is a similar kind of project going on and development ideas for this. This wouldn't be, I think this could be a totally mission impossible. But now when there is this kind of way of, we are actually connecting, there's a golden triangle of 3 biggest cities in Finland, which is Helsinki, Turku, and Tampere, which actually from any kind of global metropole perspective, this is a tiny amount of people we will be reaching out. So we would be reaching out of like 2 million people with this area. But same time, this is an important that we are not only talking about Helsinki, or we are not only talking about the capital Helsinki, or we are not only talking about Turku, which is the closest city, like 20 minutes away from Paimio. But just kind of also just kind of thinking about this local geographical perspective in a very global perspective where we are actually positioning this project. One big thing is also the connections. How are we going to get the people there? How can people in the future come there? And what are the other attractions what there will be locally there? So there's one thing which is a great benefit is that actually this is the Paimio Sanatorium is in the middle of the pine forest in an incredibly peaceful area, but same time it's close enough to a bigger city to access also to the incredibly beautiful archipelago of Finland. We have been discussing even with the Finnair and all different kind of, and this is actually Aino they were very early stage, Aino and Alvar were flying. They were the first passengers for Finnish flight companies in 30s and 40s. And we are also we need to also discuss that how can we also get the international clientele and visitors and guests to come there. So we're talking with Finnair, even the collaboration models for how to sort of just very early stage also to be securing that the travel arrangements can be made there. Today we are moving more and more, just maybe some of our visitors don't want to come to Paimio by just kind of taking a flight from Europe, but there's a connections are getting better and better through Sweden. There's a very good train transportation has been established, new routes from Sweden, Stockholm to Germany, to Berlin. We see that the ferries are moving again through the Baltic countries, getting there. So all of these, they should be also, we have needed to measure and to prove also to our operator candidates that this is not too far away, that this is not the end of the in the kind of middle of nowhere in Finland, but there's also very active and good connection and logistic what can be done. So we also been going through the whole kind of hotel supply and demand change and comparing the kind of current offering what there and for being able to see that where could be the target groups being for the future visitors. I'm personally very much against all these very strong categorization for people because Paimio Sanatorium could be having a different seasonality than any other. We are negotiating with different international universities and Finnish universities for collaboration models where we could be having having a student and educational programs during the lower seasons, during the winter times, and we have a very good example of this. There's an international caliber a startup event happening every November in Finland, which is gathering a massive amount of startup investment capital and joint venture capital to Finland, like end of November, the darkest time in the year. But same time, there could be like a different kind of new initiatives where this building could be also, this place and destination could be becoming a versatile, that's got an example of versatile use. So we know that there is the attraction is very much kind of focused on the spring and summer season, but same time we think that we need to also activate the other seasons of the year, and same time going beyond customization, this customer segmentation, and not trying to make an offering only for a certain specific segment. There is an increasing interest in cultural tourism, which is we see it. Obviously, we are not measurable at all with the European capitals, but there are like this kind of sites are becoming more and more interesting, and that's why it's also important to keep this open for public. So the growth has been more than 15% for the yearly base, and it's not reaching the same level than what is happening in the well-being tourism, which is that growth is like 22% on the yearly base. Currently, that business is exceeding like over $800 billion, and it's a massive new area, which is where we could be also be part of it. So, but the benefit comes then that we could also with this concept we could be actually combining the well-being tourism and the cultural tourism on that sense. Why I have this photo here is that this is Alvar Aalto. He was skiing in Davos, and he also gathered a lot of his ideas of Switzerland and these sanatoriums and places where he went, but also taking the ideas that kind of how kind of this local little Davos town became such a popular and important economical summit conference place. It became from the idea that they needed to figure out something for the different seasons, and they figure it out and organizing to becoming a most important conference city, which we're also thinking about. And this is where we just finished the Spirit of Paimio second conference, which we had like last week, and that's a seed for our perspective of the Nordic Davos, where we could be gathering the architects and scientists and business people and designers and thinkers from different disciplines together and to work together like on different topics, which we and at different areas where we can have a roundtable discussions and having a kind of great keynote speeches happening. But I'm going to touch that a little bit later as well. So when we do this positioning for this this place, so we'll be looking for the rooms. We have testing the room sizes. We have been seeing what is the essence of the architecture, what is the beauty of this building, and what has been so that we can really make the offering that services for everything what can be done. So actually, normally you don't go this far in the conceptualizing when you do this kind of project. You just go more from the technical perspective of the building, how the conversion would be happening. But we're just trying to also prove that it is as important to think about the content and the happening and what is the programming for this kind of site, than just it is as important is to be able to have this conversion done in a care and following like the kind of the protection testimonies what we have there. But it's same time it has to be active already from the day one when it would be opening. So the conceptual framework is going in our sort of mind is happening. We are thinking that we didn't inherit a masterpiece. We inherited a master class in designing our shared future. So just taking a bigger motivation for this project has becoming important for being able to getting this project funded from both from Culture Foundation, but also from the state perspective. I met the Prime Minister in August and presented this project for him. And he said to me, I said, we are not asking to you to give grants. We are asking you to make an investment for the future, because we are going to do this work so that actually in the future, this building and this project would be able to cover its maintenance cost itself and could be even just taking care of all the investment cost in interest and whatever needed to around that. So it's a kind of it's a delicate thing to talk about in the same context with this kind of cultural historical masterpiece and building project to talk about capital, but we need to do it. And we just really want to just find a narrative and a kind of vocabulary that the capital and culture can talk to each other. So we say that this concept is the new chapter of care, where we have been working on through this building, all of the different dimensions for the treatments and the programs, what would be happening. But there's something extremely fresh and relevant, ageless in the approach of what actually the Aaltos did in 1930s. It feels almost that the idea is almost like a kind of meant to be just reinterpreted in this time of the world where the world is so vulnerable and turmoil of since the COVID and pandemic times. So it feels that this kind of building has a momentum to be a successful project for develop further. It's just kind of, I think that's so amazing always to have the guests walking around. That's just kind of just feeling the colors, almost feeling the height of the staircases, walking around this building and feeling the light coming from different dimensions in the different time of the day. It's a kind of such a kind of multi-sensoric experience, and whoever comes there, they just feel that the building is almost like sheltering and healing themselves already when they are just entering there for the first time. So we have been going through all the floor plans, and there you see that the plan has been done in a very detailed matters. And we have been going through what are the needs to be done here and the current stages where we are now. So we have passed the conceptual phase, and we should be moving in the beginning of next year for the building permission, more the detailed planning phase, for what we actually got the funding secured now in August. So there we now start looking for the right architects and property specialists and development specialists for making this happen and moving forward. So we have gone through all of the areas, what could be happening in each floor, where we have where the technology and the heating and ventilation, HVAC, everything has to be rethought. And like I said at the beginning, the heating issue is a kind of has to be also being in a future proof, and there we will be also looking for international specialists for collaborating with us. So we have been doing the customer journeys throughout the building, just from different times of the day, from morning till the evening, just being able to understand how the people would be experiencing and feeling and moving around in this building as well. We have tested the rooms. We know that there is the amount of rooms which we did, and like I said, that we would like to leave part of the rooms as original, which could be almost like archive rooms, and would be just kind of seeing that, hey, this is how it looked like, and this is a part of the kind of the legacy what we want to also secure for the future educational purposes. We have tested how the rooms could function now when they have been just almost like a museum purposes. We have made these kind of ideas of testing at are they singles or they're doubles, how we can implement the restroom and shower there. But that's all makeable. And we had an analyst who actually just said that you should actually just say that the rooms are really for sleep and rest, and there's a corridor silence even in after 10 o'clock in the evening. But just kind of really conceptualizing so that it justifies even the size of the room. We did this year, in the spring, we did seven rooms in the main building. We first time ever opened the main building for visitors. We have been having some accommodation in the other buildings, and this has been a huge success for us, and hugely important information what we have been gathering. So like projects, normally you do these mock-up rooms. So we activated the rooms for use, and through these visitors, we have been able to sort of get the proof also for that the size of 16 square meter is not a problem for the future use either. But it's also interesting to see how people, which is kind of getting their comments, how it has been waking up in the room, how the light has been coming through the windows from the forest side, how they have been just kind of feeling the kind of the kind of the height of the room and the colors of the rooms, which we also need to see how we could be just bringing further for the future concept. There are like other rooms also, which has been for nurses with the balconies where we can probably do a kind of little bit, and we need different room categories, but we can work on that. This terrace wing, which I mentioned, is one of our sort of favorite areas where we could really be working with the more like an communal use purposes, and having like yoga studios, library, living rooms, herbal bars, gyms, anything inspiring, seasonal and relaxing that could be just also letting to people to encounter together, but same time also maybe being together, being individually in a privacy as well. But they are really, really beautiful places, and there we think that we have a lot of potential of thinking the project further. We did some plans with and we tested this with the with an architects also seeing how this could be just even brought back, that we would, there are very, very tiny rooms in between these, in these floors, and we just, what if we would be opening them back as they were in the past, and having like them, these incredible views to be enjoyed in these spaces. There are several spaces for conference and educational event spaces, which we have been, these are the orange color, what we have here. So also we have been testing, we have been having like own events, but also been renting these spaces for public, for companies, and we see that everything works. This has been this vertical thinking what Aaltos have been having in this building. Is actually all of the food and beverage kind of services, they work perfectly through the elevators, actually existing current elevator structures, and not necessarily we would be needing to make any modification on those structures. So this is the one of the most beautiful places actually, which I know this was the place which, when I came for the first time 2005 to Paimio Sanatorium, when I started as a CEO for Artec, it's a kind of, it's such an amazing reading room, this kind of hanging floor, which is a wire structures built in on top of the canteen. It's a kind of, it's so, the light is everywhere, and it's a kind of, it's a very special space also for maybe dinners or events that can be organized. There's a spaces which we have been renovating, like the old gym space, which is a bigger place for 100 people events and 200 people events. So we have been able to work on those. This is the canteen. This is where the patients also had their lunch in the past. Has been activated also for a restaurant the past 2 years, and we have plans to develop that whole concept further as well. We think that the food is such a destination topic as well. So we are currently talking with an international, Finnish and international chefs to doing like even a cooking schools there, that how you could eat healthy, you could just kind of eat like a kind of the local, as we could prepare the food from the local ingredients. Paimio Sanatorium was self-sufficient in the past. There are Aalto designed also greenhouses where actually the plantation was also done for the vegetables. And our aim is also to activate and renovate the greenhouses in the future, because also not only for the food, providing the food from there, but also being able to have that as part of the programming for the retreat treatments. It's kind of, if people just would like to just do the plantation, go in the morning, just work at the greenhouse for a moment, almost like a meditative thing as well. These beautiful spaces, this is in the connection, was in the connection in the past for the canteen. This is the forest hall, and you see that the trees are so tiny in that time, and now they are they are heading high up of the whole building on the 7th floor. But this is, I think, one of the most beautiful views when you just look through the windows and you see all of the trees surrounding you, which also can be which the whole forest is such an instrumental part of this whole concept. So yeah, there's one little kind of little extra what we found there. There's a really huge baking oven which we would also like to bring back. So we are now testing if we could be having the Paimio Sanatorium bread baked for this Christmas as well. But then we come to the core thing where also the building would be needing most of the modifications, and where we actually really just kind of, without this part of the developer work, we probably would not even be able to do the accommodation part of it. So working as a sort of this kind of well-being, a retreat concept, is kind of like Aalto said, the horizontal human being, just kind of, and the new needs of today. So we have been planning to sort of really, like Aalto was viewing this from the horizontal purposes, but we also really want to see what can be developed here. We have done the studies about the wellness in hospitality and why sanatoriums matter again, and how they're coming smaller, similar kind of sites have been renovated, but this is probably the biggest European project in this caliber, what we have in our hands now. So there's the hotels which are all the sanatoriums like 20 rooms or something, but we have a total capacity of the main building 140, the nurses room which another 40, and then we have like these junior and chief physician houses which we would be needed to bring in this concept for getting the different kind of room categories, but also getting like the different experiences from there. So one of the key things is also to seeing how we can get the sauna culture there. There was a sauna beside the chief physician's house, but that was burned down. And we have the permissions of looking how we could be building new ones there. But also that kind of getting this sauna culture and the kind of these rituals part of the whole treatment experiences. Again, this shouldn't be our duty to do this, because when the operator comes, they probably have their own projects and programs there. But if we don't test them, and if we don't even in a early planning phase to see, is this possible that the conversion could be just also for saunas or more like a well-being resort needs. So we will be probably too late to do the modifications what would be needed. So we are trying to have a constant dialogue with the industry, but also understanding what is possible from the protection perspective. So we did a little test that also what could be done and how this could be. There's a wing which we call this is this brown color wing there. That has been the former clinic wing. The clinic wing is they're very low two floors of in this wing, and we have a plan of opening actually that wing for a higher area. We have been testing this with the museum authorities that could we just having a pool there. And I don't say that this is the right look of the what it would be in the future, but just kind of even testing dimensionally that could be done. And one big thing is obviously to be able to saving the natural light factors there. That would be what we are working with. So all of these things we are working through and studying. We have a specialist of studying the saunas. We have a specialist of studying about the Nordic rituals we have a discussion about Arctic springs in the nature with the current forest. There's Paimio Sanatorium for Forest Association who has bought all of the forest around it. And could we do something together with them in a smaller scale in the forest? Could the river be activated? There's a little tiny river beside it. Could that activate it also for these purposes, like it was in the past? All of these things have been actually existing in the past as well. But how could we just bring these factors back there? We have been negotiating we have been also working with, which has actually been just discussing also what's happening in Lapland. We just really want to know how Lapland, and actually there's a lot of tourists going there. We don't necessarily need that volume, but there are people who really would like to have an extended stay in Finland. So can these kind of north and south also be more like a dual experience instead of just we would be trying to do all of these things alone. And here we have been able to understand that there will be now coming more and more also for different kind of little clinics connected to the hotels in even the north of Finland, in Lapland. The terraces was in a very key role when this building was as a hospital, tuberculosis hospital. So the patients were obviously lying on the terraces, and they got these fresh air treatments. And this we have been also working on in the Nordic countries. We take our babies to sleep outside even in a winter time, but also having this way, just they are like warmly packed in a way, but also that why wouldn't we able to have like almost like air bathing in this building, like as a part of the concept as it was in the past. And like here, I know is here also testing the bed, what these kind of chandeliers bed, what she designed that time. But again, learning from the past, rethinking the future, bringing the same the needs, looking for what are the new needs would be just needed to be done there. the nature around is such an important, and this was almost in risk to disappear because there was like 5 years ago, there became like activists who actually bought the forests around it for being able to secure that there would be still the surroundings similar than they were. That surroundings would be also part of the Paimio Sanatorium experience. And without this activist move, I think that we would be not even able to fill the UNESCO's criteria, because the forest was so instrumental part of the architecture in that sense. Where we are now, so this is something which we don't normally show it, but I think it's important to understand that although this is a big project that we are working with just kind of now trying to secure the funding and investment. We had our Danish friends visiting us, and they said if this would be a Denmark, this would be saved like 3-4 times. But we just kind of literally really need to just understand that this is not the easiest thing to do in the current economical climate in what we have surrounded. So now we're in a development phase where the concept is done. We are moving to building permission phase, which is starting early next year. And then we are moving in the phase which should be ready. That should be ready during the 2025 as fast as possible. And then being able to move forward with the building phase and the construction phase. Our goal is to open this place for new audiences in 2029. The total investment with the nurses' houses and the main building is 40 million. It's not that much money if we think of how big the money of the projects are, but the conversion is challenging. But that's currently what we are working towards. We have had a specialist to doing a complete research work for how we could work on the technology of the house, how it could be like a kind of construct for the future use, and securing that we would be bringing the new technology in such a delicate way in the building that we wouldn't jeopardize the architectural value what it's having. We have done a development cost analysis, and we had made same time the analysis of how that could be investment reflecting to the outlook of the industry. We had made a preliminary business plans. Again, this doesn't belong to us, but we do this for being able to sort of see that is this a feasible project at all? Can we justify for the investors that there would be a reason to enter in this project from any operator? And we are working same time also dialogue with operators to listening what are their needs, and so that does this budget of 40 million carry this further so that we could be making. Saying this is as the Paimio Sanatorium Foundation owns these buildings through a limited company, what we have there. So what we are building here, we are building very strongly the Paimio Sanatorium Foundation program, which is the conferences, which are the community programs like residencies, and also here we call it museum, but that would be the visitor center activities and all that. So that through that, we could be actually becoming an important client for the operator for the use of the rooms for hospitality, restaurant operations, and even the health and well-being services, same time that we could be using the places and at the building for the events and conferences and work studios. This is what we have been testing the conference. We launched last year the first Spirit of Paimio conference, where we were saying that we were reimagining the practice of taking care. I created this together with Joseph Grima, who joined Paimio Sanatorium Foundation 2022, and we just went through this. We had a super keynote speakers there. There was Juhani Pallasmaa, who got like his lifetime work achievement award from us. We had Linda Neri there. We had Hans-Ulrik Obrist, Beatrice Galilei. We had keynote speakers from cultural scene and architectural scene mixed, and this really worked. And learning from this, we know that there's a potential of creating a new forum for thinkers to come together on a yearly basis. we did now the second Spirit of Paimio, which was 2 days. So, and here we said that reimagining the community, and we had a top line of keynote speakers, again, coming voluntarily to work and help this project. We had over 300 people coming there, and we didn't even, we had a maximum capacity, which we thought at this stage would be 250, but we got more people and we wanted to sort of facilitate that, and we made it. We had like keynote speech from the European Space Agency. We had Bjarke Ingels coming there just talking about his new project in Bhutan, from what he's doing and working from a communal perspective, from kind of this city, what he's working with. We had a Beatrice Colomina talking about her amazing thing about the communities and sanatorium in general. And then we also did a workshop with Aalto University students about Incomplete City, which was done by Dan Hill, who came from Melbourne to do that. We had Spencer Bailey, who's also like a kind of, has been working in a US-based journalist and editor. We had artist studio Swine. We had a super talented design duo, Sean Lee, Dylan Davis, who talked about the Shaker history and legacy about that. And during these 2 days, we understood how well actually this building suits for different kind of purposes, and how well actually the ideas that we generated actually are part of the programming, all those things. But we know whatever we do, just we need to sort of be delicate. But same time, Aalto said is when he was 30, he said nothing that is old can be reborn, but nor will it disappear entirely. And that which once was always returns in new form. And our duty is to find the new form for the next generations, not for what we are just kind of, we are instruments for this future. And that's what we need to figure out how we do it. So this is what we are working with. We are a tiny, tiny team, very passionate for making this happen, because we believe that this could be a pilot project of making this cultural historical building to become, instead of becoming an static passive museum site, to be an active future building with having a purpose and use, which would be justified even in the spirit of Aaltos. So thank you.
Thank you, Mirkku. We have some few questions already that we would like to raise to you.
Okay.
What do you think, in summary, there is a strong link of Paimio with the cultural Finnish identity. And this is reflected in many things, also in the impact in the community around, and also when it was built, how many people worked and designed, and then after many parts of Paimio remains around, and then it were exported. When it was built, even English eyes from London and from Sweden were placed in the area, and this developed a lot within the community. What do you think it would be the future as a conference hall and with all these projects?
No, I think that for the first thing, we need to think about when Aalto was working and when this whole Finnish design legacy was created in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It wasn't only it became immediately an international phenomenon. And this kind of phase, the Finnish national identity was also built. I think that design time and architectural scene, it's almost a characteristic what we think that the Nordic and the Finnish design is all about. But we just think that I truly believe that this can be a totally international project. It should be from the content perspective, the project perspective. It was that already that time, how Aalto used all the innovations, the new innovation for elevators, for materials, and this all of the kind of little things what he'd just been learning from his, I don't know how he had even been getting access of these ideas, what he did. And So that's what we need to bring there. I would be very, very disappointed if it would be becoming a closed society for Finns, for the just kind of embracing the Finnishness in a wrong means. It's a kind of, you own the legacy, but you shouldn't be just kind of becoming it, kind of embracing it to death. And that's what I think that is important to understand.
And talking about this international perspective, Aalto himself, he was an incredible cosmopolite man and extremely connected, and he understood very well the thinking of his fellow colleagues at his time. So now that Finland is standing differently, I would say, I cannot speak about the state, but or mention, but Finland is staying on its own in a different way because, of course, the world circumstances as well. But this, as you said, it should not be limited to the community, but is strong for the cultural identity of the Finnish people, because all the components and the history, but also in this new world perspective and how Europe is standing alone.
Yes, absolutely. I think the whole geopolitical situation where we are now with Europe, it's incredibly vulnerable same time, but that's why I think that also Finland is finally it's also becoming in between the north and the west and east. It has taken the state to be like a broadly a country where we have a strong kind of political leaders as well, just kind of who dare to be and internationally recognized and daring to also to be and standing in front of these discussions and having the opinions which probably we have been also in the past becoming. We have been also very quiet also because, you know, it wasn't an easy, the whole thing about between Sweden, the monarchies, and then having Russia there, just kind of, it was almost a balancing in between something. But now I think that we are finally, there's a kind of, and also saying that this is a very strong individuals. We had a very strong young female prime minister. We are having an international caliber president, which is, we can be truly proud of it. But this is very important to just how we just see the country as well. And these people come like ambassadors for the whole country in such an important thing. But like saying about Aaltos is, when I just started with Artec is the company which was founded in 1935. You know, there is a business plan which is written on a 1A4 where they talk about the combination of art and technology. They talk about it talks about standardization. It talks about international exhibition. It talks about it talks about even the propaganda, which is what we are doing now with the Spirit of Paimio. It's almost like these educational forums, educating, and it's not PR and communication. It's so much more. But it was all about mondial activity. Like they didn't say like international. They said a mondial activity because they were acting already mondially like cosmopolitans that time. So, and I think that's something which this country has not been that good. It's due to our language and due to our sort of remote location, we became almost like an island. But I think that now there's opportunity for many regions to sort of take a position, a cultural position also. And that could be also and should be also happening through architecture and design again.
Well, Mirkku, I think that all the components are there to...
We think so too.
Absolutely. To build up a faro from Finland that can light around clearly, and also build up in this very patient and constant Finnish way, and this Finnish guts, this Finnish sisu, to get into all the possibilities for the future generations. That is a lot of the work that you all do together to project the country to the future, and especially in these circumstances. I would like to thank you, your generous, extremely generous presentation, Mirkku. You have shown us the whole world in the history of Paimio and the future projection, and an extremely rich team of people that is cooperating, and also the state commitment with it. Thank you very much, Mirkku.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Gracias a la Bienal nuevamente. Gracias, Nicola, por estar con nosotros hoy. Y esperamos que estos días de estas películas súper interesantes y sólidas en lo que es la vida de Aalto y su legado puedan enriquecer a todos en todos los medios que la Bienal se difunde. Gracias de nuevo por su presencia hoy.
Muchísimas gracias.
¿Cerraron bien?